Hello and welcome back. Before we get to part 2, Real Talk, please allow us to fulfill our capitalistic duty and plug our Patreon, the Contrarians Supplements.
That's right. For a small fee, you too can help the Contrarians rage on.
We have tiers ranging from just $1 to $10. It all depends on how much content you can handle.
Starting at $1, it's the Travoltis tier, which gets you access to new bonus episodes focusing on a new movie every month, as well as access to the patron chat. Join other patrons in making fun of our opinions.
Moving up to $3 is the Winonis tier, which unlocks access to our pre-recording notes, our video reviews, and our spin-off show, Contrarians After Hours.
That's a more laid-back space where we talk about other things we've been watching, reading, playing, thinking about. Sometimes it's related to the movies being covered in the main feed, but it usually isn't.
If you want to be part of those patrons who help us shape the show by telling us which movies to tackle, that's when you sign up for the $5 tier, the Embries, and the $10, the Gads.
Finally, all supplement subscribers, regardless of the tier, get access to our archive of special patron projects. Head over to patreon.com/contrarianprime now to join.
Be sure to listen through the end of the episode to find out what's coming up to the Contrarian Supplements this month. Now, it's time for some Real Talk.
On Earth, everywhere you go, the temperature is 75 degrees. Everything is the same. All the people are exactly the same. Now, what kind of life is that?
Well, if it's so rotten, why do you want to go back?
Because it's not too late to change it.
What do you want, Lowell? I mean, there's hardly any more disease, there's no more poverty. Nobody's out of a job.
That's right. Every time we have the argument, you say the same thing to me. You give me the same 3 answers all the time. The same thing. Well, everybody has a job. That's always the last one. But you know what else there is no more of, my friend? There is no more beauty. And there's no more imagination. And there are no frontiers left to conquer. And you know why? Only one reason why. One reason why. The same attitude that you 3 guys are giving me right here in this room today. And that is, nobody cares.
All right, Julio, we are back. We honestly should have paired this with Biodome, but we really had no way of knowing like what this was going to be.
I've never seen Biodome. I just know the ads.
I watched it when I was a child, when it came out, but I don't remember much about it. I say that jokingly, but I don't know if I want to subject us to that. In this case, we got a young Bruce Dern added to the hallowed halls of contrarian lore. So, and have we done any other ecological? What is this called? Ecological themed science fiction. Yeah. I mean, was Passengers? Because at the end, everything's great.
Yeah.
No, what was that? It wasn't ecological themed. It was just really depressing. The one Jordan had us do, Anora.
Yeah, the ship. Anora? No, Anora is the one that just won the Oscar.
Oh, sorry. Aniara.
Aniara, maybe? Yeah.
Anomalisa, was that it?
No, definitely not. I mean, you're at Passengers. Andy Garcia shows up at the end and he's like, who planted a tree in the middle of my ship?
Yeah. So, anyway, Bruce Dern, back at it. Back in the game, or beginning in the game, I should say. 71% on Rotten Tomatoes. Julio, what quotes did you pull for this? And then also, I assume you have Ryan's review.
I do. That's the closer.
Okay.
That's a fresh one, but we're going to go through a few negatives first, a few green splotches. We have Ed Gonzalez from Slant Magazine who says, Silent Running definitely shows its age.
I mean, that's fair.
Most movies do.
It's a movie that's almost 60 years old.
Yes. Like Bruce Dern, I mean, he shows his age. That doesn't make him a bad actor.
No.
It just means that, there's history. I think that movies, even when you say something shows its age, it's not necessarily a bad thing. And in fact, it can be an asset because it becomes a time capsule of where we were as a society, back then. Like you said, this could be seen as a more hopeful time.
Oh, yeah.
And, today it'd be like even, I don't know. I can't imagine that Silent Running came out and it was seen as controversial. Some people might have kind of like rolled their eyes or just not gotten the message. But if you release it today, half of America will be like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
It would never happen.
Yeah, there's a more like optimistic message here of like, if you just, took the time to know, maybe you would see my way. And that's not what that ship has long sailed.
Well, I mean, he does kill 3 people that didn't see it.
I'm talking about it in the very beginning. Yes, it escalates quite quickly.
Yeah, it's a movie. Next, Phil Freeman from Culture Vulture Net says, as a time capsule, it's mildly diverting. As farce, it's terrific. As a parable, it's utterly useless. What?
That went some places.
The part that really kind of threw me was him calling it a farce. Because, I mean, I get it. He's just saying, this is so ridiculous that, it works better if you don't take it seriously. But I don't think that I could even sit back and pretend that this is meant to be funny.
No.
There's too much implied animal cruelty for me to really enjoy it in that sense. Scott Weinberg from Apollo Guide says, perhaps if I had experienced this movie when I was 12 years old, I would have come away with something more than a lot of yawns and the desire to plant a tree.
I don't know. If I saw this when I was 12, I'd be bored as fuck.
That's what I was thinking. Yes, they're cute robots, but it's mostly Bruce Dern, and God bless him, he's doing all he can, but this is a long 90 minutes. Not for kids.
Yeah, no shit. This would be. You imagine taking your 7th grade birthday party with all your little friends to watch this? Like Rambo, this is not. This would be a hard sell. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's saying that in the sense of like there's space involved and there's like robots, but no, yeah.
You come out of it and you ask your parents to buy you the Ron Rifkin action figure.
You want the little Land Cruiser for home, you want the miniature version for Christmas.
All right. The last negative quote comes from Christopher Knoll from filmcritic.com, who says, songs from Joan Baez border on chalkboard grading to the point where I had to simply shut the DVD off during the closing credits.
I don't know about that. I'm fine with the songs. It's just kind of like, what? This is what we're doing now in the movie, I guess.
Yeah, and listen, if you're a cinephile, you sit through the end credits. That's just common sense. That's decent behavior. That's you showing some respect to all those people that worked on the movie. It's just an extra few minutes. And if you're lucky, at the very end of the credits, there's like an extra scene or two telling you what the next MCU entry is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, Christopher Knoll, grow up. Speaking of growing up, our friend Ryan Slewinski, 5 stars to Silent Running. Watch November 14, 2023. All he says is, the drones are so goddamn cute. Which, yes. But, come on, Ryan. You gotta put 5 stars on this bad boy. I expect a little more insight, especially because I've seen you be very insightful in some of your reviews. To be fair, in his defense, it's really funny. By the time that this drops, the Memoirs of Matsuko episode might be already in the Patreon feed. But anyway, Ryan messaged me saying, hey, if you're having trouble finding Memoirs of Matsuko, let me know and I'll help you out. And I was like, oh man, already took care of it. Alex and I already recorded that last week. And then he told me that him and Bartek had done an episode on Silent Running and on Memories of Matsuko. So anyway, those of you who, once you're done with this, if you need more, if you really, like me, want to know what Ryan feels about this movie in detail, it's out there on the internet, available to your podcatchers.
Yeah, I need a little bit more than that, though, to warrant 5 stars on this, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, cute droids, that gets you maybe like an extra star, but not like an extra, 3. That's not to say that I'm giving this movie 2 stars, but I could. So, yeah, let's get into it, Alex.
Hear Joan Baez sing Rejoice in the Sun and Silent Running.
I'm assuming that you were serious in Contrarians Corner, because I also was, that this feels long. It doesn't mean that it's bad. I mean, we'll talk about it. But it's, when I think hour and 29 minutes sci-fi adventure, this is not how I expect to feel. Even for a movie made in the 70s. So how was that? At what point, if ever, did you start feeling troubled about the pacing of Bruce Dern's adventures?
Well, when he kills the three dudes, like in the very beginning, so quickly, I was like, okay, what the hell is this movie going to be? Like, I expected there to be some iteration of that. I expect there to be some like version of that he just like fuck these guys, and not that he necessarily kills them all. That was definitely surprising. But I just didn't expect it all to happen so fast. Because then I was like, exactly that. Like, what's this going to be? And then he befriends the drones, and then it just kind of becomes a lot of meandering. Has a negative connotation, but it really is. It's him. One of the things I appreciate about the movie is he has no plan. He just doesn't want to give up what he's worked on. That's all it is.
Yeah, the meandering comes with the exploration of how he copes with this new situation that he ran into without a plan. I mean, I think that some things that happen in that middle of the movie, the biggest chunk, some of them are more interesting or amusing than others. So him teaching them how to play poker, that's cute. Yeah. And that has like a thing. But there's a lot of stuff that is just him kind of going about the work of being in this ship, keeping the forest alive. And that was, a little bit of it goes a long way, but this movie was intent on showing us more of it. And so, I mean, this felt like a short story. I was surprised to find out that it was not a short story, that it was an original screenplay. I was also surprised to find out that it was like there's 3 people credited, at least on IMDb, as writers. I didn't see if all 3 were in the opening credits, but 3 people took this idea that to me feels like, I don't know, like a 30-page short story in an anthology of science fiction, short stories, and they made it into a movie. And even then, they had to stretch it. They had to pad it to make it to 90 minutes. So that's
actually a really good way of putting it. This does seem like an entry in like Twilight Zone or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. And I kept thinking short story like prose, because I figure that's probably the way that you get the most out of the situation of a man that's by himself. Because, he can talk to the drones, but the drones don't talk back. And so there's very little as far as, there's no real two-way communication. Now, if the drones could actually speak back, communicate more to him, then it gets really interesting because, maybe he has to reckon with their judgment or their questions about what's happening. But he doesn't really have to deal with that. So it's just really whatever he's doing to pass the time. And there's not even a sense of urgency until the ship, the other ship shows up at the end. But between that moment and, when he kills everybody and escapes, it's just him chilling and, dealing with the loneliness and the guilt. But it moves really slowly. So I was thinking, as I do whenever one of these, we get one of these movies where it's not 100% clear whether they're your cup of tea or my cup of tea, I'm always thinking, all right, how is Alex experiencing this? Is he bored out of his mind?
I mean, I kind of was, but I enjoyed it. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a vibe movie, I guess I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly not bad. Saw our friend John Golson gave it a 2.5-star review, which I certainly wouldn't agree with that. As far as, I don't think it's teetering towards bad. I just think it's interesting. And the visuals are awesome. Like the visuals, I mean, it's a kind of the budget was $1.3 million, but there's some parts where you can like see the cracks on the walls that they're projecting space onto and stuff. Like it's really funny when they're traveling. Like it's like just a wall that they're crudely like shining lights on, and you can see like the texture on the wall and stuff. I thought that was good, but
it's part of the charm.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That's kind of what makes it a fun movie. And with the drones too, that it's so clearly a human in some capacity operating it that makes it, cause let's be honest, R2-D2, you could believe was just like a trash can on wheels that they painted up. You didn't really know there was a human in there, but there's clear like human movement to these things here. And it's, you're right. I found it charming more than anything. And I found it like, some of the reviews I read that were critical of it said it was just too ham-fisted with like the save the planet stuff. And I don't know, call me
no.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Call me jaded, but yeah.
I think that yes, but I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think we need both kinds of movies. We need the subtle ones, and we also need the ones that just hit you in the face with what they think. And I appreciated my favorite moment is probably that speech he has early on. You know, the Alex Matters speech of it used to be better. And, you know, we just let everything go to waste because it's just very passionate. And yes, he's preaching, he's on his soapbox. I think that sometimes it's good to jolt audiences with the truth just right away. I mean, there's plenty of times in plenty of other movies where you can just be more subtle about it. And even within the same movie. But sometimes it's just kind of refreshing to just have a character be very passionate about their convictions and just hit them with it. And you know, the best part, or maybe one of the reasons that it works is that he gives them this 5-minute rant and they just shrug it off. You know, it doesn't work. You know, it would be cheesy if he gives them that big speech and then the 3 other dudes are like, "You're right. What can we do to save the forest?" But instead, I think it illustrates that he can be so articulate and so passionate about it, and it doesn't make a difference because these other dudes are just completely, I mean, kind of hopeless. You know, there's no point in trying to talk to them because they just like the way that life is now. So I don't care. I like plenty of movies that have, you know, what you would call ham-fisted or unsubtle moments of, you know, their messaging, and it's fine. I think that, you know, maybe it bothers you more if you don't agree with whatever the character is saying. So if there's somebody out there who was like, "Oh, you know, these fucking hippies," then they probably were extra bothered by Bruce Dern's rants. But I appreciate it. And look, if we're being serious, because we are in real talk, like, I don't know that, you know, we are beyond salvation yet. I have to believe that we're not. But it is what we're saying about this movie and movies of that time being a time capsule, right? To think that back in the early 70s, you already had people trying to ring the alarm and telling us this is a potential future and we should be thinking about it. That's cool. I like watching a movie from 50 years ago that is warning us about things that are happening now that have been happening for the last 20 years or longer.
We have just received orders to abandon and nuclear destruct all the forests and return our ships to commercial service.
It reminded me, Alex, a little bit of the experience of going to the Other Worlds Film Festival, RIP, because I would go and, you know, just spend the day there and watch movies of varying quality, but they had the same spirit that I felt watching this movie of just people that really like science fiction and they're just trying to create this world, either future or alternate, usually with lower budget than not usually, always with lower budgets than what you would see in your standard Hollywood production. Yeah. And I think because sci-fi is just, it can be so brainy, you know, sometimes even when it wasn't spectacular to look at, or even when the stories had like holes or whatever, the ideas behind them were just strong enough, interesting enough to just carry you through a movie that maybe I would be less forgiven if it was a big studio release and if it was, maybe a different genre. But there's something scrappy about science fiction and independent filmmaking that I think works really well. And I know this is not necessarily independent filmmaking, but still it feels small when compared to shit like 2001 and obviously Star Wars or Blade Runner, you know, the other things that this dude had worked on.
Yeah.
I don't know that I fully enjoyed watching it. It's certainly not the way that Ryan seems to have enjoyed it. But as I was watching it, there was a lot of stuff that I was appreciating and kind of like storing and using it to keep me going. So how do you feel about, you know, this type of movie, the lone man in a situation movie? I like that you brought up Castaway because I never think about Castaway. And, you know, the parallels are there with Wilson and the drones and everything. But like I said, you haven't seen The Martian. Have you seen Moon, or have you heard of Moon, the Sam Rockwell movie?
Oh, that's shit. Source Code. Who's my boy who did that? Because he also did Moon, right?
Bowie, right? Isn't he? But his last name is not Bowie. He's just Bowie's son.
Duncan Jones.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. I have not seen Moon, but I know what you're referring to. Yes.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell is by himself in this station. His only company is a robot voiced by Christopher Plummer. Which I just saw a video on YouTube where Sam Rockwell was going through his filmography, and they asked him, "Was Christopher Plummer there doing the lines with you?" He's like, "Nope." It was just some PA was running the lines. Never even heard what the actual performance was going to be until like he saw the movie. But that's another movie where it's just him, in science fiction, and he's just in this moon, and the story happens, but that's just.
Ooh, Gravity. That's a good one.
Yeah. There you go.
I just Googled. Oh, here you go. I Googled movies about isolation. And in the 20 or so movies that immediately populate, Silent Running right there.
Definitely not. I did not know that that's what we're getting into.
Okay. The Village. Okay.
I guess the whole community is isolated.
I guess that's true. But one that's mentioned here is I Am Legend. And I'm just going to go ahead and spoiler here, Julio. Silent Running is better than I Am Legend.
Ooh. That's...
Do you like
I
Am
feel
Legend?
about that take.
Oh, my God.
Wait, is that just because you think that I Am Legend is not good, or because you think that Silent Running is just better?
Both. I don't think it's good.
Is it because of the scene with the dog?
I mean, that doesn't help. I've told that story before. The whole reason I went and saw that was because the Dark Knight trailer was attached to it. And then, the movie I was thoroughly underwhelmed with. Thought the ending was stupid.
The ending is dumb, especially once you find out what the original ending is in the novel. And I'm here halfway defending it, and I haven't seen it since it came out in theaters. So I just remember, everybody remembers the scene with the dog, which is brutal, but I think that it's brutal in a way that, I don't like it, but I think it's very effective. So it might be one of the best moments of performance of Will Smith, I think, when, he has to kill his infected dog. It doesn't make me want to watch it again. But man, remove the scene with the dog, and I'd be more likely to watch or rewatch I Am Legend than Silent Running, because Silent Running is just so slow.
Fair.
I don't know. These words may come back to haunt me. Maybe that's not right. Well, how do you feel about the genre in general? I guess, is that something that gives you pause? Because I'm going to tell you, I think it does to me. If you tell me ahead of time that the movie is just going to be this one character for most of the runtime, I feel like, oh God, the potential for it to go off the rails gives me pause. And so I go into it with trepidation.
I think I would probably go into, if I knew that was the gimmick, kind of being like, I don't know. But when it succeeded for me, like I love Gravity. And there's a lot of horror movies I enjoy that by the third act is just one person on their own trying to get away. And so I really like Castaway too. I guess I need to see The Martian, but it's not something that is an immediate turnoff for me. Have
you watched All Is Lost, or do you just use it as a punchline?
No, it's a pretty good movie, actually. Have you never seen it?
No. I use it as a punchline. That's it.
Fair.
Just the idea of Robert Redford just lost at sea for, I don't know, how long is that movie? 90 minutes?
Yeah, and like it's very quiet through most of it. It's just the waiting of the water and whatnot. Life of Pi could kind of be like that. Well, it's half and half, I suppose.
Does he talk to himself during the movie?
Not that I remember. There's a part where he like stitches his head up and he's just like looking in the mirror while he's doing it, like grunting. It's not all hope is lost. It's all is lost. Just all of it. Not even hope. Just all of it is lost.
All of it.
I get it confused with All Hope Is Gone by Slipknot, which is a banger, of course. Let's see how long this is. A survival drama film. J.C. Chandler. Are you familiar with that director?
Yes, but I don't know that I've seen anything that he's done. I just know the name because he did that movie about...
Oh, he directed Kraven the Hunter.
Oh, well, I've seen that and it sucked.
And The Most Violent Year, which I never saw. Oh, wow, this is an hour and 45 minutes.
Man.
The All Hope Is Lost, that is.
I hope that at the very end... no, that kind of movie has to end with Redford just drowning.
95%, Julio. This might be ripe for the picking.
Okay. We do our isolation summer.
Yes. The summer of isolation.
Yeah. Was that movie about the two people that with the sharks? You know what I'm talking about? It was kind of like a big deal.
Ooh, Open Water. Good
Yes.
call. I own that movie on UMD. That's a movie it works really well one time.
Were the people at your theater really excited because there were boobs?
Oh, I didn't see that movie until it came out.
Uh,
Because it's not rated R, right? And there's boobs in it.
Yeah, I just remember the projectionists. You know how we talk about those movies where like projectionists have it timed and they know when they need to run to the
It's
projector.
so pedestrian in that. It's not like she's like being sexy about it. She's just like her boobs are out.
I know, but that just tells you the state of mind of theater employees. My reaction was the same. I was like, "What is happening in this shark movie that people are just so riled up about it?" And then I was like, "Oh, she's just topless for like a little bit." Like at first, I thought maybe they're just naked the entire time.
One of the few scenes in a film I've ever had to compartmentalize, Gerald's Game. That's a movie where it's just about one person the whole time.
There you go. That is a good one, and it's pretty recent too. So
yep. And,
you can make it work. You have to, but usually even those movies, they have their little tricks where to break away from narrative, to give them somebody to talk to or to, explain what's in their heads. Because Gerald's Game, she has Bruce Greenwood. Doesn't she talk to him like in like not flashbacks, but kind of like hallucinations?
Yeah, and he responds to it, but he's like dead on the ground.
Yeah.
Then he gets eaten by a dog.
The drones here, I guess that's the closest. He has a little bit of an avenue to express himself.
I see you're already here. I'll bet you wonder why I gathered you here, haven't you, huh? Well, I want to beg your indulgence. Got some new programs here for you.
Can you imagine if you didn't have the drones, though? If it was just, 60 minutes of Bruce Dern just doing shit around that ship? But
just starts talking to his watering can.
Yes. Hey, I'm Bruce Dern. Are you there?
You look at me when I'm talking to you.
That's how he becomes an old man in Nebraska, losing it. When I was going through I checked on Letterboxd. Not a whole lot of people on my list, on my friends list, had seen this movie. But I spotted a 1-star review from this lady. I don't know how I know her, but I follow her and she follows me. So it might have been just like, oh, she showed up when I was looking at other reviews. But her name is Leah Matthew B. She watched Silent Running October 1st, 2016. And I found this very funny because it's just the story of how she watched this movie with Douglas Trumbull in attendance. So she says, I admire Douglas Trumbull a great deal. He's beautifully no-nonsense in a very Midwest way. He reminds me of Roger Ebert, and he just solves problems. That's what he does. That's how he approaches filmmaking. And that probably answers why his movies are pretty bad. He ain't there to tell you a story, except on the most functional level. He's there to figure out how to put a series of, again, functional images on the screen by whatever means are available to him. Filed this one under new experiences. Trumbull gave a 75-minute talk at the Lightbox last night before a screening of Silent Running.
Damn, almost the length of the movie.
Yes. In that talk, he basically went over the movie beat by beat, element by element, plot point by plot point. It was like getting a DVD of the movie that autoplays the special features before letting you watch the feature. Given the potency that the spoiler holds in our culture right now, it was fun watching several members of the audience become visibly uncomfortable when he blew the movie's ending in the first 5 minutes.
That's awesome.
Actually showed a video clip of the ending as part of his opening presentation, or dissected a critical action beat with behind-the-scenes footage. Honestly, though, Silent Running is so flippin' boring that he might as well have just done the presentation as a live running commentary rather than a prelude. The worst part of the evening wasn't having the movie spoiled, whatever that means. It was simply the unerring sensation of having to watch the whole thing twice. I love it. I love that Douglas Trumbull was just like, I'm going to tell you about my movie in detail, and then you can watch it.
Still curious?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if having the director talk to me about the movie in detail for 75 minutes would actually enhance the experience for me in this specific case. And with some movies, most movies, it would annoy me because I am that person that I was like, please don't spoil me. But in this one, because so much of its appeal is how he made things, I think, going to the practical effects. And I'm assuming that he probably also talked about just the psychology of the characters. And, maybe he would answer the question, Alex, of how much are these little robots feeling? Because I did wonder that. I wasn't just doing a bit. So I don't know. Maybe there is an even better way of watching Silent Running, and that is by having the director talk to you, or sans that, maybe there is a commentary already out there that you can just play with the movie. It sounds like fun. I don't know that it's kind of weird to see this, and have it stand next to his work and other movies that are more successful and that are better, I think. Mm-hmm. When you watch this, I guess because it, does it stand out to you as like, oh, this is a movie made by somebody that his main profession is special effects?
I think watching this, it makes sense as his first movie as a director. And it's also like, it just seems like it's trying a lot, just seeing what's going to work and what's going to stick. I think it's a pretty interesting movie for its time period. Yes, it's after 2001, but it's several years before Star Wars, and 2 years is Star Trek motion picture. Is that 74? Do you remember? Star Trek, the motion picture. No, that's 1979. I'm sorry. That was after Star Wars.
Right. So anyway. Yeah. Because we referenced it in the poster. You said the poster.
Oh, yeah. Good call. No, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 74, of course. That's what I confused it with. Anyway, just kidding.
I want the movie about Leatherface, just the isolation movie about Leatherface. The day that they leave him alone in the house.
They lock the fucking meat cellar. He just doesn't know what to do. Yeah, I think it's a pretty fascinating movie for its time period. It's not like, I wouldn't call this like inspired, but it's seems like it's trying a lot. It's an ambitious movie, I would say, especially for like a first time filmmaker.
Yeah, it has. And going back to that speech from Bruce Dern, I like that it kind of wears its heart on its sleeve, and it has conviction. It has thoughts. That always helps with the movie, or usually helps with the movie. Now, did you feel manipulated by the little animals? Because I brought it up in Contrarians Corner, and I was somewhat serious.
Rabbits are so cute.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, that's something else that drives the point home, right? If you're gonna blow this shit up and you keep showing me the animals, it definitely has an effect on me. I didn't resent it, but I could understand if somebody told me that was too much. I was like, I get it. He's gonna kill the bunnies. Did it bother you? Because, I mean, you and I were pretty sensitive to animal cruelty, even when it's off screen. So was that, it just made me really sad. Because
I agree.
They blew up like 5 of those things before he escapes on the last one. So that there was, 5 other ecosystems that were destroyed in a very casual way. I mean, it's awful to see them, because the other dudes are just having fun doing it. That just makes it worse. But I was that entire first half hour, it just bummed me out. I was like, yeah, this sucks. Such disregard for life. So that's, again, point to the movie for making me feel things. But it didn't turn you off.
Didn't turn me off, no. I think it was similar to what you were saying, of made me not feel so empathetic for those fellas when they got offed.
Yeah. Like, fuck them. My only other thing, and I forgot to bring it up in Contrarians Corner, but because I had in my note, I just wrote Mario Kart, because they have those little buggies that they used to.
Oh yeah, those look like a hoot, man.
It seems so silly. And then, of course, one of the horrific moments in the movie is when he accidentally hits Huey? Dewey? Who gets hit?
Huey, yes.
Huey, which would have been fine, I think. Not fine, but, if he had just hit the robot and then next time you see the robot limping or whatever, I'd be like, that's one thing. But that leads to the sequence of him trying to fix the robot and then apologizing for not being able to fix him better. Mm-hmm. Again, that's just really sad. I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted the movie to tell me for sure. I was like, hey, is the robot in pain? How bad do I need to feel about this? Because you are right. You were not imagining, Alex. They do make noises. In fact, sometimes they give you a close-up of a vent or something that's flapping open whenever they make the noise. So it's like, are they communicating? I don't know.
Yeah.
But they definitely want us to think that they are. So I don't know. That's, again, it's manipulation, but I don't mind it.
Hey, now just a minute. What have I said about talking between you guys? Now, come on, that's not fair. I'm here all by myself, and you guys are talking between yourselves. Now, it's not fair. That's a house rule. No more talking.
That's all I have. This is such a, like I told you, I don't think this is going to be a very long recording because I'm like, while it has some heavy themes and there's like a lot of stuff that you can cover between Contrarians Corner and this, I'm like, it's also very straightforward and very simple. You know, my main thing was like, what's going to be my score? Because I am not sure.
Yeah, just to close on that, I agree 100%. Don't mean to diminish it by calling it a vibe movie, but it's just one of the, I use that phrasing all the time. It just kind of happens to you. You watch it, and I just found it pretty fascinating. And I can't say I was like captivated and hooked the whole time, but I think I got through it in one sitting, and I'll remember it. I can say that much about it. So, but I agree. There's only so much you can say about it.
We have vibe movies that we love. I mean, there's not one of them, but but there's, Licorice Pizza. We were both pretty high on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so what is your score? I already know it's higher than John Colson's.
Yes. Maybe like a B-, somewhere in like the 3 to 3.5 star range, somewhere in there. Because yes, it does feel a bit plotting, but it gets out of there before the 90-minute mark, which is, bravo. Take notes, filmmakers of today. It's not great, but it's interesting, and I use the word ambitious, and it is. So I'm content with giving it a B-. What about you, Julio?
I think it's 3 stars. Honestly, it would be 3.5, but I'm struggling with the John Baez songs.
Fair.
I was thinking that this would be a cool movie to just have in the background. Like I'm going to sleep and I'm like, I'm just going to have Silent Running playing. But then I would have to deal with the John Baez songs coming up from time to time. They work in a very interesting way. So I'm not completely saying that it's a bad choice. I think there's one in particular. I think it's the second one. That is, the second montage where there's just something so weird hearing that type of song over a science fiction montage of like a ship and like the ship flying through space and then him doing science fiction things inside the ship. But at the same time, it's not necessarily pleasant to my ears. No disrespect meant to John Baez, but there's something that doesn't quite click for me there. So I'm going to say 3 stars right now. And who knows, if I ever rewatch it, it might go up to 3.5. But I like what it's saying. And I think, like you just said, I'm not going to forget it anytime soon. And it's going to be another point of reference for Bruce Dern. And I never would have imagined that young Ron Rifkin was something that was going to be in my experience as a film buff. But there it is. Now I have a point of reference for that too. So yeah, 3, maybe someday 3.5, and a B- from Alex. That is overall, I think, a good result for Silent Running. Ryan, you've done worse. So take the win.
Take a victory lap on this one, brother.
Yeah, just enjoy it. Now, coming up next, Alex, have you looked at the spreadsheet?
I did, but I've already blanked on it. What's coming up next? I
don't know what this is. This is a Nerdrovert pick called Rye Lane, like RYE, like the bread. Rye Lane, 2023, 98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, Colin Firth is in it.
There you go. That's all you had to say. It's the original Bullseye.
Oh, yeah. Man, hour and 22 minutes. We're cooking already, man.
Perfect. That is the last fresh movie before our summer event. Then we have a Rotten movie, and then the summer event starts. And of course, also, I think before that drops, we'll have the FIRF Awards, where we recap the first FIRF movies. So keep an eye out for that too. And then on the Patreon channel, Alex, by the time that this drops, I am positive that at the very least, our Star Wars A New Hope conversation is going to be up there.
Oh,
as
baby.
a bonus available. That was so much fun. I don't want to oversell it, but honestly, you never know what's going to happen when you tackle a movie that has been, in a way, talked to death by everybody. But I think that we did admirably. Again, not to oversell it, but I think we did really well. I think that if you're a patron, this is going to be a lot of fun. Unless you hate Star Wars, in which case, well, you might want to skip this one.
In which case, go fuck yourself.
Yes, in which case, like, did you only watch Rise of Skywalker? Is that what's happening? All the other stuff is still there. Most recent QVR, as of this recording, The Closet. Alex talks about Korean horror. On my end, video reviews for K-pop Demon Hunters, which is getting a Criterion release, Alex. Obviously, that was not news when I recorded the video. Otherwise, I would have mentioned it. And I probably would have faked some outrage just for the clicks. But have you seen that that's a controversy now? Like people being offended by the fact that K-pop Demon Hunters is getting a Criterion release, as if Armageddon hadn't gotten one.
RoboCop.
Well, RoboCop is a good movie.
It is.
Armageddon isn't.
This is true. Beyond the Valley of the Dolls got one. And the whole premise of that movie was it existed to be bad.
That's the one we did on the show, right? Not the one that
No. We did Valley of the Dolls.
Okay, so
Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is the Russ Meyer movie that he wrote with Roger Ebert.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but the little Criterion knowledge for you, that they came out together. I think they're right next to each other in spine number, and it was kind of done with like a wink and a nod. There's been some bad movies that have gotten Criterions, and I don't even know about this K-pop Demon Hunters.
It's not a bad movie. I can see how some people might say it's not their cup of tea. I honestly, minor spoiler, I was not crazy about it on my video, but it's a movie that's been very popular among its target audience.
It's a Netflix movie too, so
I mean, so was The Irishman. So
that's
The Irishman.
why it got a Criterion. Okay, so there you go. That answers the question, because there's no Netflix isn't going to start a line of physical media. So these movies that the only way they're going to get a physical media release is through Criterion, like an official one. That's not like bootlegs, is through Criterion. That's the whole reason Bluest Warmest Color got a release, and why it did like immediately after it came. I'm assuming K-pop Demon Hunters is very similar to Bluest Warmest Color, Julio, but
yes.
that's
a little shorter, but just as explicit. Yes,
it's exactly what happened with that. Was they deemed it a movie that needed a release, but it didn't have any avenue of physical media. So Criterion, it's not always going to be fucking some Jean-Luc Godard shit, Sometimes you got to play the hits.
Should be happy about that too. How can anybody get mad about the movie getting a physical release? Just let it be. But anyway, don't want to oversell my enthusiasm for K-pop Demon Hunters. As I said, that video is a little more temperate. It's a little more calm when it comes to appreciating it. But yeah, enjoy it if you're a patron. Also, this will be dropping by the end of March. So that means that the March newsletter should already be out. Lots of good stuff. Just join patreon.com/Contrarian Prime. Look at the tiers. Have some fun there. And that's it, Alex. I think that we've blown up the entire ecosystem surrounding us. So there's nothing else to do here. It's time to go.
All right. Take care, y'all. Welcome to our end credits.
Or as we usually call them, our perennial plugs.
We start off by giving thanks to the Festive Years, who provide our opening and closing tracks. They kick us off with Last Stand and take us home with Summer of '99. Be sure to head over to thefestiveyears.com for any and all Festive Years needs.
Our friend and fellow podcaster Hans Rothgieser is the man behind our logo and all the art you see related to our show. Reach out to him and let him know how much you like that little tomato. His email address is mildemonios@hotmail.com and his website is mildemonios.pe. That's MILDEMONIOS. Hans, thank you for all your support.
For those interested in the regularly absurd world of professional wrestling, Joe and the boys over at latenightgrin.com have you covered. Tell them the Contrarians sent you.
And we like to close with special thanks to our social media team of Zoe Perez and Coriari. Each of the social media accounts we mentioned in the introduction look as good as they do because of their work.
So that'll do it for this episode of The Contrarians, where we're right and you're wrong, and we will catch you next time.
Just for old time's sake, I really don't care who you're seeing or how much money he makes a year.